in the background. Great backdrop here for today's World Championships. The boats are coming out behind the pace boat, starting to get on plane, and in just moments away we will be starting the 1989 World Championship from Atlantic City. Now they're starting to come up on plane. Right there on the inside you've got Lucky Strike. On the inside of Lucky Strike, that's RDS Marine. There's Lucky Strike. Lucky Strike on the inside. RDS is slightly ahead of him, who we just saw. We've got Charlie Marks, Eric's Reality right there in the middle of the picture. And on the outside of Charlie Marks right there, it's Don Johnson's team's USA. Very rough racing conditions right now. Should be a slight edge for some of these big deep V Apache hulls that you see right there in your picture. Could be a little rougher on some of the cats who do shine in some of the calmer racing conditions, but we'll have to wait and see how things unfold here today. Eric's Reality in the middle of your picture. Now coming from the other side of the field, we've got Gary Johnson and Tom Russell in Freeze Frames Helicopter 2, manning Camera 2, to bring you to starboard side of this race course. And looking the other way, right there you have the pace boat, and then we have Don Johnson's team's USA. Gentry's boat is right there. Eric's Reality on the inside of him. RDS, Little Caesars, and Lucky Strike now on the far outside of the pack. Yellow flag is up on the pace boat. Now looking the other way, that's Charlie Marks, Eric's Reality. Relatively clean right now. Everyone is on plane. That's John Antonelli's Spirit of America coming up alongside the pace boat. We've got the green flag, and we do have an official start for the 1989 Trump Castle World Champions is officially underway right now, and we've got the green. Right there you see a good start. All the lead boats are taking off quite nicely. That's John Antonelli's Spirit of America jumping to the lead along with Charlie Marks, Eric's Reality. Team USA is right there. Gentry's boat is also there. Lucky Strike, RDS. We're off and running. You get an idea right there of some of the rough racing conditions we're enduring right now. And there are rougher areas out on the race course. So these boats cannot go as fast as they'd like, but the main thing is to stay in one piece. Right here you've got Eric's Reality. Gentry's boat is right there. Team USA. Spirit of America on the outside. RDS, Lucky Strike. Then Little Caesars. Little Caesars, Spirit of America. Gentry, Team Johnson, Team USA actually, Don Johnson's boat, all taking a quick charge to the front of the pack. That's Little Caesars Pizza, Eric's Reality. Gentry, Team USA, and Spirit of America on the far outside. And on the inside right here, that is RDS. Boat number 89, RDS Race Team. It's a 45-foot Apache powered by 3 870 horsepower Carolina racing motors with Keykeeper outdrives. This boat is owned and driven by Stephen Baldwin of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Gary Smith is his navigator, and Keith Hazel is on the throttles. RDS had a very good campaign for 89. They finished in 3rd place in the Superboat class for 89, so they'd certainly like to have a very good week of racing here. They've always been in the lead packs throughout the 89 campaign, so they have had a consistent run all year, and they've really got it together here for this week of racing, and they certainly want to try to improve. Their main competition will be Eric's Reality, Little Caesars Pizza, Lucky Strike, totally awesome, from the United States entries, and of course you've got all those European boats who will be charging hard also. And in front of RDS, you've got some of the main nemesis of Stephen Baldwin. That's Little Caesars Pizza in front of him, and Charlie Marks, Eric's Reality, right out there. These boats have been running 1, 2, 3 all year in the Superboat competition, so today is certainly no different than the rest of the year. Everybody is remaining true to pattern that they've been running. It's neck and neck right now. As you can see, we've got some big waves out here. And these deep V's, these Apache race hulls, should really perform well in this rough water. Stephen Baldwin's RDS race team in a head-to-head battle with Little Caesars Pizza and Eric's Reality. There you get a close-up look of that boat. Keith Hazel's doing a great job on the throttles right now, and this boat seems to be dialed in quite nicely. You see right there, they've got a slight lead over Charlie Mark's Eric's Reality, and they seem to be gaining ground on Little Caesars Pizza right now. There's Little Caesars out in front, but RDS does seem to be closing the gap and trying to make a move right now on Little Caesars Pizza. Stephen Baldwin's RDS race team making the move right here on Little Caesars Pizza, looking very good at this point, and we wish them all the best in this whole week of racing. RDS, a very pretty boat, as you can see. Eric's Reality, Little Caesars Pizza, as well as Laven's Jesse James will be dueling. You've got Lucky Strike and Antonelli Spirit of America and Don Johnson's Teams USA, the main competition here for this crew. But a pretty looking race hall right now. Hazel's doing a fantastic job. Baldwin is really doing the job that he's got to do as the driver, and they certainly look like they're going to be a tough boat to catch here today. RDS race team. Now we come up on another one of the super boats. We'll be dueling all day with RDS. Boat number 45, the Lucky Strike race team. This is a 47-foot Apache powered by three 825 horsepower Chevrolet inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned and driven by Phil Mashinsky of Watchung, New York. Navigating today is Bud Millinghausen, and Jeff Millinghausen is on the throttles. Millinghausen and then Mashinsky making up the Lucky Strike race team. Lucky Strike, overall in 89, they finished in 4th place behind RDS in 89, so they would love to have a good week of racing here today, and they're definitely in the hunt for things right now with Eric's Reality, Little Caesars Pizza, RDS, who we just highlighted, and Lucky Strike is looking very good right here at this point in the race. He knows what it takes to have a fine run today, and they're going all out. There you get a good up-close look at the Lucky Strike race team tucked away nicely in that 45-foot Apache race hull. The Lucky Strike race team. This is a similar hull that we just saw on the RDS race team, and in this rough water, these Apache race hulls should have a fine day. Mashinsky feels he's got the right combination of power and race hull for this offshore racing in these rough seas today, and Millinghausen's doing a fantastic job on the throttles. From Atlantic City, the crew of Millinghausen and Mashinsky making up the Lucky Strike race team. We wish them all the best in their hunt for a world championship in the superboat class. Now we come up on boat number 115. This is John Antonelli's brand new Spirit of America race team. This is a sleek 46-foot Jaguar powered by three 700 horsepower Carolina inboard motors with key camper outdrives. This boat is owned and driven by John Antonelli of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Robert DeCure is your navigator, and Jack Clark is on throttles. Spirit of America's open boat finished 4th overall this year behind Special Edition Hawk Marine Power and Mellon's in the open class. But right now, this is John Antonelli's brand new Jaguar race hull that he's brought out for this superboat competition, and it's looking very strong right now. You've seen some of the other competitions, so we expect some very tight racing overall in the superboat category. But John Antonelli, along with Clark on the throttles, certainly has what it takes to be a dominating week of racing for them. He feels very confident with this new race hull that he's got, and with those three 700 horsepower Carolina inboards, he's got the power that it's going to take to prevail this week in racing. But as you can see, we've got that rough water conditions, so it is a little tougher for some of these cats to slice through these big waves. But Antonelli has what it takes to get through it, so we certainly wish Antonelli, along with Clark, all the best from the Spirit of America race team from Atlantic City. There you see Antonelli coming over some big waves out here. You can see some boats moving very slowly right there in the background, but they are rounding one of the checkpoints. This is certainly a rough leg out here on the race course, as you can see, and it certainly limits the miles per hour that these boats can go. This is a tough part of the race course, so these crews and the boats must hold together. It's more going to be a matter of who's still running at the end, because we figure a lot of boats will be retiring today in these rough conditions. But John Antonelli seems to be charging hard in the spirit of America. Now we're getting ready for the start of the open class. That's Smoke and Hog, your pace boat, bringing the boats out. You've got some Italian boats right there in the front of the pack. Big fleet here today. As you can see, it's still continuing to be very rough race conditions. We've got the green flag, and the open start will also be running the storm course for safety of the drivers. Some of the Italian boats taking a quick lead. That one Italian entry jumping off to a fantastic start. Other European entries staying right with them right now, and here come some of the other boats. You've got Mellons, Power Marine, Hawk, and it's a very large field right now in the open class. It's going to take several minutes for everybody to sort themselves out. Mellons on the inside. We've got Gary Johnson and Tom Russell in helicopter number 2 for freeze frame covering this start, while camera 1 is still out with the superboat classes. Some of these Italian drivers are much more familiar running in the rough water that they're accustomed to in the European circuit. So they've had more experience running in some of these rough seas. There's one of the Italian boats with one of those aerodynamic wings on top of his boat. Now we come back to Jeff Girardi and Copter 1 to bring you the coverage of boat number 5, the Bengal Bay Club. This is a black 41-foot Cougar powered by twin 700 horsepower KSW Offshore Engineering inboard motors with harness and outdrives. This boat is owned and driven by Masakazu Kabayashi from Nishiki, Japan. Jun Kabayashi is your navigator, and Gus Falcone, a familiar name in offshore powerboat racing, is your throttle man, who is from Florida. The open class, the UIM-1, I should say, is comprised of 25 boats. This makes it the largest class ever to run in a World Offshore Powerboat Championship. There's got some tough competition for the Bengal Bay Club here today. 30 Longi, Hawk Marine Power. There's many Italian entries. Lord Piana, Castella Bancia, Mellons, who we saw before, Marini Bianco, Warlord, Baguda, Bella, Bamorai, and many, many more. And of course, you've got chairman of the board, John D'Elia, special edition defending champion. Kaiser Systems is here. Gancia del Gancia is here, a very familiar boat. Power Marine, Italia Go, and many, many more. This is definitely an international fleet in the UIM-1 class. And Falcone doing a fantastic job on the throttles, as he's done for so many years for many boats that he's been involved with. From Atlantic City and the World Champions from Japan, it is the Bengal Bay Club. Bengal Bay Club, still looking good right now. Now we come up on another UIM-1 boat. This is Hawk Marine Power. It is a 35-foot Jaguar powered by two 700 horsepower Hawk inboard motors with Kike for outdrives. Driver of record is Mandy Fernandez. Mandy owns this boat. Today is being driven by John Tomlinson from Miami, Florida, who's also doing the navigating, and Mandy Fernandez is on throttles. Hawk Marine Power, they had a very good year. They finished in second place behind Special Edition in the open class this year, so Mandy would really like to overtake him in the World Champions. Right there you get an idea of just how rough it is. You've got 6-foot seas right now, so these boats are certainly taking a pounding right now. These boats accustomed to running to 90 to 100 miles per hour are right now running in the mid-50s, maybe approaching the low 60s due to the rough sea conditions. There you get an idea. Every other wave, they're definitely taking a pounding. The boats come off very slowly. You can't push it right here. You just get an idea of how strong these seas are. You try to get a rhythm as best you can. You might catch one right, but then you could hit one wrong. And that's what all these boat racers try to avoid. But as you can see, when you're going in the 50s, it's a little easier to control because that's all these open water ocean is going to give you here today. And Fernandez, very accomplished racer, is doing a great job on the throttles. And coming up on the outside of Mandy Fernandez is the Samurai race team. Hawk Marine is in a duel with Dirty Laundry, all the Italian entries who you heard before, and many of the other boats. Bengal Bay Club is also dueling with Hawk right now. The Hawk race team has had a very good crew throughout the year, and Mandy would like to extend a special thanks to Buddy and Larry from Hawk, who've done a great job, and Craig Barry from Cigarette, who's also lent a lot of help and expertise to making this a successful winning race team. Mandy Fernandez's Hawk race team has won the Gold Coast Cup Championship. That is a small series of races run in the Florida area for the '89 campaign. So Mandy is a champion competitor. He's got a lot of racing under his belt for so many years, and there's great runs with Dan Carrera and in his Hawk race team over the last several years. And he's certainly a great competitor and a good friend of everyone, as well as all the people here at Freeze Frame. And we certainly enjoy covering the Hawk race team, and we wish Mandy and the rest of his crew all the best throughout this week of racing in Atlantic City. The Hawk race team headed up by Mandy Fernandez. Hawk Marine enjoying a very fine run right now, and Mandy's once again is doing an excellent job on the throttles. We've gotten over race control radio right now that some of the boats who took an early lead in the UIM-1 start are out of the race for rounding the Coast Guard boat instead of the checkpoint boat. So that is a tough break already for some of the racers. Right now we come up on Joe Mack's boat number 2, known as Dirty Laundry. This is a 37-foot Cougar powered by two 800 horsepower Lightning inboard motors with Kike for outdrive. This boat is owned and driven by Joe Mack from St. Louis, Missouri, and Smitty is on throttles. The Dirty Laundry race team. They're in a big hunt right now and a hard challenge with Mendy Fernandez's Hawk Marine Power, who we just saw, and some of the Italian boats. Lord Biana is there, and Castella Gancia as well as Mellons are dueling in the top few places right now in UIM-1. However, it is very difficult right now to get an idea of who's in first place, second, or whatever, because they're strewn all over the race course, and we've had some boats disqualified who were previously in the lead. We don't have all of them yet, but we've heard already that SDA, Akili Motors, Kappa, to name a few, have already been disqualified for a wrong turn earlier on. So that is going to open up the door for some of the other drivers. Joe Mack coming up and passing Samurai. Neck and neck as they round the checkpoint, heading towards the next point here in the storm course. The seas are very rough, but Smitty's doing an excellent job of throttling nonetheless. Joe Mack coming in on the inside. He's come in on the inside of the race course, and he's going to has to go around and go back around that checkpoint. A tough break there for Joe Mack as he rounded that checkpoint. He has to go all the way around now, come back around, and resume on course, which he has done, and he's now underway. He's got some ground to make up, so he's certainly going all out right here. Smitty's going to put it down and give it all she's got, as best as this boat can do in these rough water racing conditions. We wish them all the best. There you see some of the other boats who is out, probably retired already with some engine or mechanical difficulties. Attrition will be high today when you have such rough racing conditions. Joe Mack's Dirty Laundry. Considering the difficulty of these race conditions, Joe Mack is doing an excellent job right now, and he is in the lead pack of boats in this class. So Joe Mack's Dirty Laundry is really the story right now in the UIM-1 class here today. Now we come up on boat number 55. It's chairman of the board. It's a 39-foot Cougar catamaran powered by twin 750 horsepower Lamborghini inboard motors with Kike for outdrives. This boat is owned by Chairman Racing Corporation from Rochester, New York. Driving today, you've got Nuri Sabucci, and on throttles, you've got Hurley Stepp along for the ride. Right there, you get an idea of only one Lamborghini motor is running today. That's a tough break for Sabucci's chairman of the board, because when both of these Lamborghini motors are going, he is a tough competitor to catch. He finished 5th overall in the open class this year for the '89 campaign, and with one motor running, it is going to be very difficult for him to place high in today's race. However, with the high attrition that all the boats are faced with, if Nuri can keep this boat in contention and finish and get some points, don't forget there are 2 more days of racing, so Nuri still could be in the hunt for a championship over at the end of the week. So Sabucci, certainly a strategist, knows what to do. There you've got Warlord, who has had a bit of a problem and has beached himself up on the beach off the coast of Atlantic City. There you get an idea of the rough seas that they are up against, and Warlord has been a casualty of this racing condition and is on the beach. Now we come up on boat number 60, Eric's Reality. This is a 48-foot Cougar powered by 4 850 horsepower Gentry American Eagle inboards with Kike for outdrives. This boat is owned and driven by Charles Marks from Potomac, Maryland. Charles, who is also doing the navigation, and Joey Impressure from New York is your throttle man. This is certainly a tough crew right now with Marks and Impressure. Eric's Reality, they won the Superboat division this year, so they are definitely one of the odds-on favorites to win the World Championships in this class. But the competition, as you know, is very, very tough. He's in a hunt with RDS and Little Caesars Pizza, Jesse James, Lucky Strike, Spirit of America, Johnson's Teams USA, Popeye Cesa, Gentry Turbo Eagle, and Mr. Roberts are all in this class. Some dominating racers, but Charles Marks dominated the Superboat Class 489, and with the addition of Joey Impressure on throttles, it's certainly going to make Eric's Reality a tough boat to beat. However, he's in a strong duel with RDS and Little Caesars Pizza at this point in the race. From Eric's Reality, we now come up on boat 90I, Italia Go Grana Padano. This is a 40-foot CUV powered by 2 800 horsepower Isotta Fraschini inboards with a Nuxi CUV system. This boat is owned by Team SG Cesura. Driving today, you've got Kazi Patrizio from Cremona, Italy, navigating Cesura, Giuseppe, and on throttles, Mesato Minatogoya doing the throttling for this team right now. One of the many Italian entries here today. They've got some very sophisticated equipment that has been developed over in Europe, some things that we have not seen over here in the United States racing circuit. So it's certainly been interesting as we walked around the pits earlier on this morning. Look at some of this high-tech equipment, and this Nuxi CUV system is part of what makes this boat do very well. They're running very strongly right now, and they are part of the largest fleet in the race today. The UIM 1 division has 25 entries, this being one of them, and they are one of the tough Italian competitors here today. From Atlantic City, it's Italia Go Grana Padano. Patrizio is doing a great job in Grana Padano at this point in the race. Very strong run, and we wish him all the best for the week in racing. Now we come up on a very unfortunate sight. We certainly hope there's no problems here. This is boat number 83, Paul Picot. They have had some problems. It seems as if the race crew has gotten away from the boat and has been picked up by the medical emergency staff. We certainly hope everyone is okay in that race crew. As you can see, it is a tough day of racing, and right there, that picture symbolizes what these rough seas can do out here today, and we certainly hope the crew of Paul Picot is safe and sound. Now we're coming up on the UIM2 start. This is going to be a very competitive class also. We've got Ebel, Diesel Dancer, Team Skater, Eastern Express Cat, Rebellious, Chariots of Fire, Brickyard, Frigidaire de Alda. And right there in your picture, you've got Rebellious, Diesel Dance, Ebel is there in the picture. That's Rebellious taking a quick lead in the M start right now. They're also running the storm course, and these smaller boats are certainly going to take a pounding. Right there you get an idea of just the swells that these race boats are going to have to go through in today's race. The sea seems to have gotten rougher, not calmer, as the day has worn on. That's Rebellious and Diesel Dancer on the outside in this start. Very rough waters. That's a bell in the middle of your picture, and another foreign entry coming by on the inside. Now we come up on Brickyard, boat number M66. This is a 38-foot Chris Craft powered by two 500 horsepower Merc Cruiser inboards with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Delia Pontiac. Driving today is William Barnhart from Greenwich, Connecticut, and on throttles we've got John Salson. This boat was brought specifically for this race due to the prediction of his throttle man John Salson, who knew this would be a rough race. So with that in mind, they brought out the Deep V hulled Chris Craft for the rough racing conditions. This boat is sponsored by the Brickyard, which is a restaurant in Danbury, Connecticut, owned by Don Altieri. M66, that's the number familiarly seen on the former special edition M66 when they were in this class, but based on the fact that it was going to be rough water racing conditions, they felt comfortable about bringing this boat. That was definitely a very good move on Salson's part, and William Barnhart has a lot of faith in him, and they have come out here in this boat. So we certainly hope they will have a better run in the Deep V, and right now they're looking very strong at the present time. There's some tough competition in the UIM2 class. Ebel, who you saw earlier on, is one of the odds-on favorite. Diesel Dancer got off to a fantastic start. Team Skater and some of the other boats will be dueling here today in this class. But right now we're staying with Brickyard, and we wish them all the best. Brickyard is sounding very strong at this point in the race. Now we're coming up on some of the European entries. This boat is M1 Diesel Dancer. With Atlantic City in the background, you just see how rough these conditions are. Extremely rough right now. You can see how those waves are just pounding on the outside. That's Abel, another European entry. Two boats who have been doing battle all year on the European circuit. Diesel Dancer from London, United Kingdom, and Abel from Italy as well as London, England. These boats have gone head-to-head for many years, and this year is no different. And right now they've come to the waters off the coast of Atlantic City to go at it head-to-head for the World Championships. Diesel Dancer on the inside, Abel on the outside. Diesel Dancer M1, it's a 40-foot sheet planty, powered by two 600 horsepower Sabre inboard motors with Mercruiser drives. This boat is owned and driven by Roger Fletcher from Banbury, England. Peter Smith is your navigator, and on throttles you've got Mike Edwards. Quite a bit of history behind the Diesel Dancer race team. They're the 1988 Class 2 World Champion, and in Class 1 and 2 they're the British National Champion in 88 and 89. And it has been brought to our attention that they're powered by two Sabre Marathon diesel twin turbos on each with 1,200 horsepower total. They plan on upgrading to Class 1 next year with a 47-foot Don Shed monohull for the following campaign. But there we see some good racing with Diesel Dancer and Abel. Diesel Dancer taking a slight lead over Abel, but Abel not backing off the challenge, and they're running very strong. Doing a great job here right now. Edwards on the throttles really has this boat dialed in quite nicely. The casinos provide the backdrop for Atlantic City. A great facility to hold this offshore race. Trump has the facility and the docks to house all these boats, and it's certainly been a great thrill. A lot of excitement and energy has permeated the air all week here in Atlantic City. And there you get an idea. Diesel Abel on the outside, sneaking up on Diesel Dancer. Several boat lengths separating these two boats at the present time. Two hard-charging European boats who have done battle for many years. Diesel Dancer is running quite nicely. Earlier on you saw, for example, Hawk Marine Power, who was coming out of the wave so high and was not able to maintain such a great speed. But right now, Diesel Dancer seems to have the boat dialed in quite nicely, and they are making good time in rough water conditions. Abel just Abel creeping into your picture right there, is not backing off Diesel Dancer, and they're mounting a very strong challenge right now. Abel is headed up by Carlo Benami, who does right now presently reside in London, Great Britain. Good racing right now in this division. Abel and Diesel Dancer going head-to-head in the UIM Class 2 division. Diesel Dancer and Abel providing some of the more competitive racing right now on the race course. When things are very rough, some of the boats tend to get scattered around the course, but Diesel Dancer and Abel are going head-to-head. We're going to stay with this battle as it rages on in the UIM 2 division right now in the World Championships. Diesel Dancer and Abel. Fletcher, along with Smith and Edwards, making up this Diesel Dancer crew, seem very confident. They're very relaxed this morning. They're very confident about the abilities of themselves as well as their boat. They have good racing credentials and history behind them, so they certainly would like to dominate here and go back to England with a world championship tucked under their belt for '89, and we certainly wish them all the best. But right now, their efforts are focused on Abel, who is slightly ahead of them in today's race. The Abel race team and Diesel Dancer going at it head-to-head. Now we come up on the winged craft Abel M50. This is a 36-foot FB Marine powered by two 650 horsepower C-Tech turbo motors with FB Marine outdrives. This boat is owned by FB Marine. Driving today, you've got Carlo Benami from London, England. On throttles, we've got Emilio Reganti from Milan, Italy. And navigating, we've got Antonella Mandelli Brown from Milan, Italy, and New York. Antonella Mandelli Brown is a four-time European women's rally champion, and she is the wife of race car owner G. Garvey Brown III, who is considered to be very involved with IndyCar race driver Danny Sullivan over here in the American IndyCar circuit. The Abel, they are the European Offshore champions. They're being sponsored this year by Abel Watches, and this boat is certainly a good-looking craft right now. Just as the Abel Watch is a sleek craft, the FB Marine 36-foot race hull with that wing is also a sleek-looking racecraft. Abel race team. They also have a good bit of racing lineage under their belts. As I said earlier on, they are a European offshore champion. They've had a very successful campaign for the '89 season. They've come over here and they're locked in a fierce battle with Diesel Dancer that you saw earlier on, and it is still raging right now. But these boats seem to be having a slight edge. Both boats are a deep V monohull, which does give them a slight edge in the rough water. The power plants here seem to be doing a great job with these C-Tech turbos, and with the experience of Banibi Reganti and Mandelli Brown, they certainly seem to be a formidable crew, and they're proving it right now. From Atlantic City, the Abel race team having a very good run. Once again, we have the pace boat with the yellow flag up, and that's going to indicate the start of the peace start for today. Many boats entered here in the pro stock. We've got Risky Business, Miss Don Q Rum, Concrete Cat, Talon Comp, High Risk, Hydrotech, Team Skater, Euromarine Special, Showdown, First Defense, and Wheel of Fortune. Right there in your picture, you've got High Risk, your Marine Special. Miss Don Q is there also. Promised to be a very competitive class of racing. They've been dueling all year. In Pro Snacker was won by Miss Don Q Rum in first, followed by High Risk. First Defense third, Ocean Outboard fourth, and Risky Business fifth for the '89 campaign. But right now, that's all behind them, and they're here for the World Championships. Right here, we're going to go with P27, off to a quick early lead. It's Risky Business. It's a 32-foot skater powered by three 270 Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and driven by Stephen Dorsich from Tahoe Paradise, California. And on throttles, we've got John Bruno. And on the outside right there, that was Felix Sorales' Miss Don Q Rum, who also had a good year. Miss Don Q and Risky Business went at it fiercely throughout the '89 campaign. And today promises to be no different, as you see in your picture. On the outside, that's Felix Sorales' Miss Don Q Rum in the outside, but High Risk for seeing the challenge, taking it, and going ahead right now. Dorsich doing a fine job in Risky Business as he meets the challenge put up by Miss Don Q Rum and just pushes ahead. Great racing right here by Risky Business. Joe Mack's Dirty Laundry is still having a good day as he is leading right now over Mandy Fernandez's Hawk Marine Special in the UIM 1 class. Abel and Diesel Dancer still going head-to-head in UIM 2. RDS, Little Caesars Pizza, Eric's Reality, Jesse James and Lucky Strike, and Antonelli Spirit of America going at it in the Superboat class. But right now we're locked in a fierce battle between Miss Don Q Rum on the outside, and, well, Risky Business on the outside, Miss Don Q Rum on the inside. Sorales pushing hard right now, trying to overtake Dorsich's Risky Business. Miss Don Q Rum is a 32-foot Douglas skater powered by three 265 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. Felix Sorales is your driver of record. Juan Sorales is driving today from Mercedita, Puerto Rico, and Felix Sorales is the throttle man. Sorales had an excellent campaign all year. He is your '89 champion in the Pro Stock division for the entire year. He had a very consistent year, and he has been able to hold off High Risk, First Defense, Ocean Outboard, and Risky Business all year. But right now, Risky Business has gotten off a fantastic start. Stephen Dorsich, you can see the spray of his motors right now and the wake that he is leaving behind. But Sorales is trying to close the gap with Miss Don Q Rum. So in the early lead in this start, it's between Risky Business and Miss Don Q. You've been watching some very close competitive racing. In both these boats, Risky Business and Miss Don Q Rum are basically identical boats in terms of their Mercury outboard motors and their skater hulls below them. So that's very competitive racing, neck and neck, virtually identical pieces of equipment, thus providing for the close competitive racing. I'm assured, Miss Don Q Rum having a bit of a rough time over that one wave, but certainly not a problem. Sorales gets the boat right back up there again, and he is back in the hunt against Dorsich. But as we were saying earlier on, the way these two boats started off today's race, running neck and neck, that's how we expect to see them finish at the end of the race, running 1-2, and could even finish in a dead heat. Highly unlikely, but these boats are so evenly matched, we do expect to see them both at the end almost in the same position. As you can see, it's so close to call. Miss Don Q Rum takes the lead, then Risky Business takes the lead, and that's how it's going to be for the entire day for these two boats. Dorsich and Sorales still locked in a very fierce battle, which will rage on not only for today, but throughout the rest of the week. Risky Business and Miss Don Q Rum. Now we come up on another boat in the Pro Stock division. This is Concrete Cat. It is a P15. It's a 32-foot Hydrotech race hull with three 260 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and driven by Ray H. Tresh from Mullica Hill, New Jersey. Mitch Brodkin is your navigator, and Doug Lewis is the throttle man. They're the 1988 World Cup Northeast Division and North American champion, as well as the New Jersey Governor's Cup champion. So Concrete Cat has had a relatively good year for '89. In some races that they've entered in here in the Northeast, they took a first in Newburyport and a first in Rochester, New York. So Concrete Cat has had a good year. They want to come out and have a good week of racing. But as you saw, they're going to be locked in a fierce battle also with Risky Business and Miss Don Q Rum, who are running 1-2 in class right now. But Concrete Cat will have to hold off challenges being mounted by Talon Comp 37, High Risk, Hydrotech powerboats, Team Skater, the hard-charging Euromarine Special, and many others who are entered here today. So Tresh, along with Brooken and Lewis, who make up the Concrete Cat race team, certainly have their work cut out for them here today. They'll be dueling for the rest of the week with these boats. They'd like a strong finish here today because they know the competition will be tough. The Concrete Cat race team. Now we come up on P26, the boat known as Talon Comp 37. There's a 37-foot Talon race hull powered by three 270 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Gary Armington. Driving today is Tom Moeller from Sarasota, Florida, and Paul Kesserling is on throttles. Very interesting story behind the crew of Moeller and Kesserling. They originally raced a boat called Paradox, and they survived a life-threatening crash. After that, they returned to race in the 1988 race circuit in the boat called Main Attraction, where unfortunately they had stuffed the boat had serious damage. They were able to repair everything, get the crew back together again, and they went on to become world champions in '88. They also took a first place in the Southeast Divisional Circuit. Their sponsors are Corvettes West and Dolphin Aviation. So everyone has persevered to help propel Talon Comp 37 to be the champion, and they've come out here today to prove what they're all about. This crew is made up of a lot of guts. They've had some unfortunate mishaps, but they get right back in there and they come back into the true champions that they are. They're presently locked in a duel for the third and fourth spot between Concrete Cat, who you just saw earlier on. Risky Business and Ms. Don Q. Rum are still dueling it out in the beginning of this pack, but Concrete Cat, Talon Comp 37, High Risk, Hydrotech Products, and Team Skater, along with Euromarine Special Showdown, are all locked in a very fierce battle right now. Very close to call in the Pro Stock division. But right now we're going to stay with a hard-charging Talon Comp 37 headed up by Tom Moeller and Paul Kesserling. In the UIM 2 class, Abel and Diesel Dancer are still locked in a neck-and-neck battle. We'll have to wait and see how that one unwinds, but they are having some excellent head-to-head competition, just as Risky Business and Miss Don Q. Rum is having in Pro Stock. All divisions of offshore powerboat racing are very competitive. There's a lot of parity in all groups, and it provides some of the most excellent racing that we've seen all year. The World Championships, they bring out the best in all divisions. Talon Comp 37 enjoying a very good run. Now we come up on P20, this Showdown race team. There's a 32-foot Douglas Marine skater powered by three 275 Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Bill Mitrovich. Driving today is Ed Halcomb from Chardon, Ohio, and Bill is doing the throttling. The Showdown race team looking very competent right now, and they have had some help. Bill feels very strongly that without Offshore Technologies, they would not have been able to have the success that they have enjoyed for the '89 campaign. And Bill would like to extend a special thanks to Mercury Marine and Dean Becker of Rapid Racing Oil and the help that Douglas Marine Skater has provided this race team to help make Showdown have the successful year that they have had in Pro Stock. '89 was a very good year for the Showdown race team. So good, in fact, that they became the High Point champions for the Central Division. So everyone from Freeze Frame Video would like to extend our congratulations to the Showdown race team. And we certainly hope that the good luck prevails for them as they have a strong week of racing ahead of them here in Atlantic City in the World Championships, the Showdown race team. Now we come up on P16, Euromarine Special. There's a 30-foot Chris Cat powered by three Mercury outboard motors. This boat is sponsored by Euromarine Yachts Limited and Total Yacht Sales. This boat is owned by Tommy Caruso from Amerenik, New York, who is doing the throttling today, and Charlie Jelnick is your driver. Euromarine Special, they've taken a third in Freeport in the Northeast Circuit this year. They came on the campaign about mid-season. They've had some relatively good success. They run very strong. They've had a few mechanical gremlins, but they feel they've got them worked out. One of the additions to the crew, their head chief crew member, Jeff DiMartino, came aboard mid-year, did a fine job with them. There you see some of the rough waters that Euromarine Special is going through right now. Very choppy portion of the course right here. You see the swells and the big waves. Jelnick and Caruso have to slow down a bit because it is very tough racing right now, but they are persevering through this rough sea conditions. As we said earlier on, Jeff DiMartino, who is the chief crew member, came aboard with this team and did a fine job in helping to rig the boat. He is the executive in offshore rigging. Executive rigging, they like to refer to him as. And also helping out is Rich Lamterzier and Dave Schulman, who have done a great job also preparing this boat. The entire crew, as well as myself, would like to extend a special and speedy recovery to Jeff DiMartino, who just recently, before the World Championships, unfortunately was in a fatal car accident, but he has come out of it. The doctors say he is going to be okay, and the entire crew of Euromarine Special would like to wish Jeff DiMartino a very speedy recovery, as well as everyone here at Freeze Frame Video. Tom and Charlie would also like to extend a special thanks to their fathers, who have done a great job in providing them with the guidance and leadership necessary to get this race team out in for a successful campaign. So with that, let's sit back and enjoy the run of Tommy Caruso and Charlie Jelnick in the Euromarine Special. Now we come up on the boat known as Fort Apache S611. This is a 28-foot Seahawk powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Gary Ballo, who is also your driver of record. Gary is doing the throttling today. Mark Shannon is your driver from Boca Raton, Florida, and Frank DeLuca is your navigator. The Fort Apache race team. Gary would like to extend a special thanks to Joe Roberts of Fort Apache Marina for making it possible to be able to run at the World Championships. Fort Apache is the world's high-performance marine in the area. Fort Apache is locked in a fierce duel in the stock class with Vigilante, Skater Express, Insanity, Skater, and East Coast Marine. These smaller boats are certainly going to be taking a pounding out here, so this will certainly be a test of the fortitude of the race crew as well as the integrity of the motors and the race hulls that they'll be racing with here today. And Gary feels very strongly about his 28-foot Seahawk, and he believes that the preparation provided by Fort Apache Marina is going to get him to where he's got to be at the end of today's race. So we wish them all the best as the S-Class really starts to get going here in Atlantic City. Fort Apache race team. Fort Apache having a very rough ride, but they're the only V-bottom S boat today, so that could be an advantage to them in these rough seas where the cats might not be able to do so well in the rough water. The crew of Ballo, Shannon, and DeLuca doing an excellent job here today. Now we come up on the hard-charging S99 Skater Express. They're the national champions for this year, holding off Hat Trick, Concattac, Vigilante Racing, and Sunfire on the national level. They are your national champs in stock class. S99 Skater Express. The sleek, all-red 24-foot skater is powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Glazer Marine Incorporated. It is driven by Joe Jacobson of St. Louis, Missouri, who is also doing the navigating, and Chip Hackman is your throttle man. Jacobson and Hackman had an excellent '89 campaign, and they certainly hope to capitalize and just culminate everything here with a good week of racing here for the World Championships and add that to their title of national champ. We'll have to wait and see how things unwind, but they're certainly in the thick of things right now with Vigilante and Fort Apache Marina for the top 3 spots in stock class. Skater Express had an excellent '89. They know what it takes. You see that they're running very well right now over these rough weather conditions, and we wish them all the best here today in Atlantic City, the Skater Express race team. Now we come up on S54, the Vigilante race team. This is a 24-foot blue and red skater powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and driven by George Peterson from West Islip, New York, and Brian Dovzak is on throttles today. The team of Peterson and Dovzak making up the Vigilante race team, and they are in a fierce battle with Skater Express and Fort Apache Marina, who you just saw earlier on. Peterson has been racing for so many years. He's got quite a bit of racing accomplishments under his belt, a lot of experience. He knows these smaller boats, and he has been in the S-Class for so many years that he is definitely one of the champions and odds-on favorites. And with the addition of Dovzak on throttles, he feels he's got the right combination here today to take on the hard-charging Skater Express who we saw earlier on. That's Fort Apache Marina on the outside. So coming by is Peterson and Dovzak on the inside, making a move on Fort Apache Marina, and they're going after Skater Express, who we just saw. So this race is too close to call, obviously, but personally we feel that it's going to be a big battle between Vigilante and Skater Express as this week rages on. And here you see some good competition between Vigilante and the Fort Apache Marina. Peterson and Dovzak's Vigilante race team, we wish them all the best here today, as well as the remaining week of racing in Atlantic City, the Vigilante race team. Now we come up on another S-boat. It's S240, East Coast Marine Racing Team. This is a 24-foot Douglas skater powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and driven by Kevin Stevens from Pembroke, Bermuda, and Henry Trott is your navigator and throttle man for the East Coast Marine Racing Team. Perhaps Stevens, not familiar with such rough water right now that we're encompassing, is trying to make up some distance between himself and Vigilante Skater Express, Fort Apache Marina, who you just saw earlier on. Peterson is tearing up the course, but right now East Coast Marine is trying to get back in the hunt in that lead group. Right there on the starboard motor, you can see that their engine cover has ripped off. Certainly a result of the hard pounding that this equipment is taking in these rough seas. We certainly hope that they could finish with it and hope water does not get into that engine compartment and foul things up. But Stevens and Trott are persevering through this rough water in the East Coast Marine Racing Team, and we wish them nothing but the best as they charge on here in Atlantic City, the East Coast Marine Racing Team. Stevens and Trott having a good run up to this point. Very rough, as you can see. Ooh, there's a rough one right there, and the goggles go flying off. He stuffed it right there, but was able to come through, but they did have a reality check right there, and you saw the goggles go flying off. We hope everything is okay for the East Coast Marine Racing Team of Stevens and Trott. Now we come up on the boat known as Insanity, S23. It is a 24-foot skater powered by two 200 Mercury outboard motors. Chuck New is the owner and driver of record on this boat, and he is throttling. Driving today is Jason New. The News hailing from Staten Island, New York. They'd like to extend a special thanks to Pro Marine for doing a fine rigging job and maintaining the boat for the past 2 years, and they feel it has helped them form some form of consistency throughout the year. The Insanity Race Team doing a very fine job, and they have been some sponsorship from Pro Marine Racing also. In 1988, they were the third in the Northeast Division and third in the North American Division. So they do have some good credentials behind them, and they certainly hope to have a good week of racing here today. Insanity still enjoying a good run. We have been hearing that some classes have had some high attrition. Many boats have already retired, some have been disqualified, but the story today most likely will be all the boats who have been knocked out of the race by the rough seas today. So we'll have to wait and see how many have finished and in what place and who is knocked out. So anything can happen. Usually some of the odds-on favorites do not get in there as expected, and some unknowns could finish. But Insanity is having a good run nonetheless. Now we come up on our final boat of coverage today, and we'll be taking him to the start-finish line. We'll be soon compiling our final results, and then we'll be bringing them to you. This boat is S941, the Bermuda Racing Team. It is a 24-foot black skater powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Derek Simmons. Driving today is Anthony Stoneham from Pembroke, Bermuda. And Derek Simmons is your throttle man, also from Bermuda. Simmons and Stoneham making up the Bermuda Racing Team. Once again, the seas are very rough for them also, just as it was for East Coast Marina, who we saw earlier on. As I indicated, we're going to be staying with the Bermuda Racing Team. They're in the back portion of the pack in stock class. Vigilante, Skater Express, Fort Apache Marina are still dueling it out. Very close to call right now. We'll have to wait for the final results, but we're going to stay with the Bermuda Racing Team as he heads toward the finish line in his class. And after that, will be compiling all the final results in all the classes to bring you the final results of the first leg in the 1989 World Championships in Atlantic City.